We're going to speak about beyond the hype practical AI strategies for Magnolia. For those that don't know me, my name is Schulte, head of consulting, 12 years in. Okay. We're going to speak a little bit about history, where we come from. We're going to speak about key principles with AI, stuff that is easily forgotten, context. With AI, context is really king, AI-driven project development, and finally getting started. The evolution of Magnolia's AI usage. We did AI before it was even cool. So some may even recall 2018, ResNet 50. Who knows that? ResNet 50, anyone? Come on, really? Okay, well, that was basically that very moment when a machine could basically tag images. So there's a dog, there's a cat, there's something. Back in the days, crazy. And basically, we even shipped that with Magnolia back in the days, our own LLM in the system. Well, it's not there anymore, but the integration is still there. So image tagging, text tagging, that was something that we did pretty early on because it's also the key for personalization, all that stuff. 2020, Word AI, that was basically pre-ChatGPT. You could do kind of paraphrasing of content. So we had this. 2021, DeepL translations. Before that, we had Microsoft Translate, we had Google Translate. It translated text, but it was definitely not production ready whatsoever. Well, that changed quite a bit with DeepL, and we started to deeply integrate it in the system. Recommendation engines, back in the days, all the rage. So Netflix and Amazon, people that buy this also buy that. So that was really something that was suddenly to be found everywhere. And 2022, that was our intermediate phase. Virtual SA, so ChatGPT, suddenly was available also via API. I recall when I was in Sydney, that was just hitting, and on every second laptop and every hotel and every workers launch, ChatGPT. And yeah, it was also suddenly available via API and as an internal tool, and it's still alive. We built basically a Virtual SA. That's just some kind of chatbot that lives in our Slack space, and it reads a lot of documentation and older RFPs, and basically with that we can now answer RFPs much, much faster. And another sensation, I mean, again, today, DALL-E was not really great, but back in the days, a machine can actually create an image that kind of looks good. Crazy. And yeah, I think it was 7 days after the API was available, and we had it actually in the system. 2023, and this is really when things start to accelerate quite a bit. We started to use OpenAI now much more frequently in the system, all over the place. So we had integrations for SEO metadata generation, for AI-assisted text fields, story generation, component generation, variant generation, really important one, and page generation. And then we also realized, okay, we have a lot of extensions. Well, we should definitely make a complete program out of it, really bring a structured approach to have everything in the system, a full program with proper project management. And for that, we had the launch of the AI Accelerator. Also really a huge milestone that was basically hyperprompts. So hyperprompts, we're going to hear about context in a minute. That's basically that tool that helps you to have all the tools that you need, the context about how to write, what kind of data should be used again and again and again to really produce at scale. We already took the first preparations for the agentic world with Orchestrate. I mean, right now that looks kind of like a content calendar, but the whole purpose of it is really just to have a full control panel for your different agentic tasks that you're going to run. So it's just really this collaboration between humans and AI. And DALL-E, File AI, well, that's a little bit like the DeepL moment. That was basically this moment when it was not just image generation was not a gimmicky thing, but finally you just really could get images that are more or less on a stock photo level, and you just get those within seconds and not like scrolling for hours your stock photo databases. Okay, if we take a step back, what do we do really here? Well, we are not going to train our own AI, because if you look at the investments that you typically see, that's typically for the real big ones, the equivalent of a full aircraft carrier. And we are not yet, I mean, maybe later, but we are not yet so big that we can actually fund this. And therefore, as we have always done with Magnolia, back in the days, best of breed, nowadays, composable. In the end, what we do is we just compose all those different AI services with Magnolia. Okay. Yes, AI overwhelm is real. For those that really follow the space a little bit closer, every other day there's some kind of new tool, some kind of other service that is completely mind-boggling and crazy. And yeah, you can easily spend your full day somewhere in the social networks, on the tech blogs, and just read about AI. The problem is, yeah, it's just overwhelming. You won't be able to accomplish anything. So, in the end, one of the key tasks for everybody is just really to cut through the noise. And it's about framing the real problems that have to be solved with AI in the end. And because in the end, Gen AI, it's not like some kind of magic. In the end, it is just a service that you have to integrate in a meaningful way. Okay. Speaking about a mental model, if you see all those different features and opportunities and options that you could maybe use in your project, it helps to have some kind of mental model. And, well, the content lifecycle, it's basically that model that you typically see in a typical DXP project. So it's all about planning to create content. It's about creating that content, obviously. Enriching it, delivering, and optimizing it. And if you really start to pinpoint those different opportunities to those life cycles, it just helps you to have at least a pre-frame, and from there you can then explore further how you could basically apply it. What we do right now is just the status quo, fully available, general availability. We spoke about agentic, that is to come, but what you can do right now, obviously, is content generation in all sorts of different flavors for long-form content, for personalization, for optimization. Image generation, that's something that we're going to see also in those workshops. I think what we have now with this AI image editor that we have, that's probably industry leading, or at least pretty close to that, especially with this composable systems that we integrated. So just integrate a new AI service with like 20 lines of YAML, one reload, it runs. It's pretty good, really. Content optimization, that is stuff like, hey, I have this page and SEO metadata creation is not maybe the thing that I want to do with my lifetime. Click, AI will basically do this for you in a second. And also here, much more to come for the data that we spoke about in the previous task. It's just then also about finding those bottlenecks, automatically schedule an ABN test. So this is what we're going to see in the future. Translations, I mean, we spoke about this, yet I see a lot of projects where those translation processes are still super manual. So in your projects, introducing this will make a lot of people happy, under guarantee, if you're just still in this manual process. Content personalization, that's also a very interesting one, because for all the ones that are pretty long in the content management industry, everybody speaks about it. Hyper-personalization, personalization is going to change everything, absolutely. And you don't find a single company that has true personalized content. Recommendation engines and all the stuff, for sure, but nobody really has like 6 different segments and 6x the amount of content. No team is basically able to pull that off. Well, AI is damn good on basically create those if you have the right hyperprompts. So personalization, that is really something that we start to move quite a bit. And then, as I said, content classification, pretty important if you also want to auto-recommend content or just find content quicker and organize this. Okay, again, AI is a service, so treat it just like another API. In the end, it's just about input, output, and context. But Well, I just ask the LLM of my choice and I get some kind of response, some kind of text. Awesome. Well, something is missing, right? Because your typical content type, your page, your component, and so on, that's much more than just a simple text. There is an image, there's a link, there's a title, subtitle, and so on. How can you basically get this kind of response in a storable format that can be really used with a system like Magnolia? Well, in the end, what you can do, and that is really the key, obviously what you can do with Magnolia is you can just get the schema definition. So you can ask Magnolia via API, this component, this page, this was whatever it is, what kind of data structure is that component actually using? And what you can do is you can just apply a pretty neat trick, and this is really one of the essentials. You can basically get the schemata and you can embed the schemata in your request. That means your LLM will actually respond in the desired format. Once you reach that state, you can just take this response and you can actually store it. That's basically the game changer, how you can use LLMs to get responses, complex responses that can be really stored in an actionable way in Magnolia. Okay, and that brings us to context, because with AI, context is absolutely king. Without context, it will be really, really non-usable. If you speak to someone, have you used AI? Yeah, it's just crap. It's not giving me anything that I really, really need. It's useless. 99.999% of the cases, the context was just pretty vague. You just ask something and just imagine a LLM like something that has a pretty broad knowledge about the world, but it has no clue about what you are doing in detail. So what kind of scenario are you going to deal with? What kind of content do you need? What kind of code do you need? You really have to bring in this context. Once you do so, then there's this capability called reasoning. And with this context, this LLM can reason and can actually produce great results. But you have to bring this context. That's really essential. So let's speak about context. So if it comes to content production, then we have just, as what I also said, it was really one of the pivotal things that we introduced. Then we have this mechanism called hyperprompts. So a hyperprompt basically helps you to bring in this context that you actually need to get some kind of useful response. For someone that is going to produce content, that could be something like this. Because if you use Claude, ChatGPT, whatever it is, if you just use this tool multiple times, you're just going to spot immediately, aha, that's actually AI generated. And you don't want to have any content that looks like AI generated, because then your page is just cheap and is going to be discarded immediately. However, if you bring the right context, what is my tone of voice, all those things, then it's not robotic anymore. Then it starts to really sound like your brand voice and so on. And for that, aside, you need typically a pretty long description what you really need, and also especially what you don't need. And well, you don't want to copy and paste this all over the place, because then obviously it just gets super clumsy. Therefore, we just have hyperprompts. You have some kind of prompt templates. It's just this as the wheel keeps spinning. So we just have templates for HTML generation, or we just have templates for prompt generation in the end. So. Okay, great. So that solves the problem that we get at least content that is sounding in a way that's absolutely okay for the web page. One thing is missing. No, we just have told the system how to basically respond. It has no clue about your service. So that tour that you're going to sell, it has no clue when the tour starts, when it ends, what the price, what the accommodations. It has no idea about your machine, how many parts it has, what the price is, and so on. And again, you don't want to copy all that stuff from your PIM in a prompt. So for that, we just introduced something that is basically called in the industry RAG. So what you do on top is you just bring in your custom data. Again, it's just all about integrations. So you have some kind of PIM, for example. You have existing content in a content type, whatever it is. And that piece of content actually has all the information that the LLM needs to basically, you describe a car. So it basically knows that car has 250 horsepower, it has a Bose sound system, blah, 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 whatever it might be. So all this data can be automatically integrated into a prompt. And this is what I meant with context is king. As long as you don't bring all the data in, you just basically completely you won't get the results that you need. Okay, let's speak about development, because also here context is king. Speaking about AI fatigue, tons and tons and tons of tools out there, and they're just getting more by the week. Most of them are pretty good. We typically use Windsurf. PD uses AI assistant from JetBrains. But there are so many more. Again, here, it's, again, applying it right. So probably a lot of people have seen Claude 4, it's out, it's crazy, and it does a lot of things, and it's beautiful, and it just simply doesn't work. Okay, what's wrong in the end? It's about bringing in the right context, the right rules, the right guidance to basically be active. For Windsurf, they're just more or less the same kind of techniques and other tools as well. What you can do is you can just basically bring in your own hyperprompt that basically tells the system in detail what to do. Especially if it comes to front-end development, it helps a lot to really give examples. And this is how my project looks like. That's the structure, that's the technology. I use Node and this and that version, blah, blah, blah. What also helps quite a bit is just giving long examples of complex dialogues and so on. Again, because then those LLMs can reason. What also helps is just to provide the original documentation quite a bit. So what Windsurf can do is it can actually also issue calls to external documentation, reason on it, and then out of a sudden I have YAML, it looks beautiful, but it doesn't work. Then you suddenly come to, okay, it really, really works. And also if it comes to migrations from other systems, if you just get the original configuration into your project, then basically
lights are kind of washing
there's a lot of content. There's a pretty exact specification of this old dialogue. If you just mix this with proper documentation of Magnolia, you can almost one-shot dialogue definitions from other big systems. And one-shotting dialogue definitions and all those things, that's actually a huge time saver compared to do all that stuff manually. Okay, a few rules. I mean, by no means complete at all. If you use AI, it helps quite a bit. If you can just keep it under 500 lines of code, at least for the time now, because otherwise there's a certain chance that it will just go haywire. What also helps is just to have some kind of project management, some kind of task file that really breaks down what should be done, and then even ask the AI, basically check marks those tasks when they're really, really done. Also, never work on more than one bug or task, because otherwise it's doing so many things, it looks great, and it just broke everything. And therefore, just do one thing. Pretty important. It's easy to get carried away, I know, but this is one of the things that helped me at least quite a bit. And as said, context, really reference the original documentation and give plenty of examples. That's really important. And one thing that is completely missing here, Git. Use it constantly, because sometimes, even though with all your guardrails, it will start again to do fantastic things and everything is broken. So you want to really snapshot quite frequently. Okay, good. And another thing, MCP. Yes, also Magnolia is going to come with MCP at a certain point in time. But what you can do right now is you can just use browser MCP. Basically what it is, you can just connect, for example, Windsurf to your browser. You get those console exceptions, whatever it is. You can just pipe those exceptions straight to Windsurf. That helps you in your development process quite a bit to immediately get the exception so that system can understand what it just broke and fix that problem much quicker, so you don't have to fix or just copy that context all the time by yourself. Okay, just a few things. If it comes to the project by itself, really start with the low-risk, high-impact integration. Something like content tagging, zero optimization, basic personalization. That is something that is just basically immediately right now, and it's really little effort to get it going. If you don't have it yet, really think about translations. That is something that your users will like quite a bit. Also here, when I spoke about context and so on, doing the right prompting that actually requires training, trial and error, that's also something where you just have to enable your teams on how it's actually done. Then, if you go to those AI workshops later on, you're going to learn a lot about how the AI accelerator works in detail, and you're going to learn how you can customize your own AI modules. So what we really see, if people start to come up with more sophisticated usage of AI, then next step is to basically understand it in depth, adjust your modules, and also here really start now with this data collection. This is going to be the future, because you need that context for those agents later on. Good. So what can you do with us to basically shape the world of AI with Magnolia? So there are definitely co-development opportunities. That means you can really shape the future of AI together with Magnolia. So if you have something that you build that is really, really cool, let's speak. There are definitely co-marketing opportunities for AI innovations. So if you have built something great, let us know. Let's show it to the world, what's possible with AI and with Magnolia. Also here, that might be interesting for some of you. There's definitely an advisory board for AI. So also if you see here some kind of missing pieces, let's talk. Let's see how we can make it happen. Project leverage, obviously, you can really be much more efficient if you use AI in the development process. Plus also if you can basically propose the right solution, that is something that can absolutely set you apart from the rest. Okay, what we can do for you is we can do hands-on workshops and boot camps. So it starts by tomorrow with our AI workshops, basically. Obviously, we are going to extend this program quite a bit during the time. There's obviously tons of technical documentation, best practices, and what we also have here available right now are business analyst workshops that you can run with your clients. Okay, so just in a nutshell, so this is basically the business workshop available right now, and as I said, we also have those dev trainings, and that program starts by tomorrow. Okay, and with that, I hope I was not too long on time. Okay, so that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jan. Yeah, just grabbing a mic in case we need it. So, yeah, we have a few minutes. We'd love to field some of your questions. You have a question for Jan? Any questions? I would have a question. You were showing about using the AI while you're doing development. I've also experimented with that a bit, but I found it actually quite, it's funny because it's definitely doing so much for you, but you have to wait. Is that a problem that you have, or do you have any tips on?
Yeah, exactly. That's basically a little bit like working back in the days with WebSphere. Sometimes if you do it wrong, and this happens really with do a lot of things at the same time, and then you're waiting, you're going to see file A was changed, B was changed, C was changed. Oh, that looks really, really good, and nothing works. And again, this is really about scoping it really down to meaningful, smaller processes or steps. For me, really, having this tasks file with all the different steps that you have helps quite a bit. For example, working on a migration, then it's really about having that list about that card, that header, that navigation, whatever it is. And then it's only work about this navigation and be specific. And then the response times will be also much quicker, because it's a simpler task, and you also get much quicker feedback, and therefore, yeah, that is one of the things that really, really helps.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, thanks. Another opportunity, questions? All right, we've got a question. We've got a few questions back here. One of you was closer, I think.
Hello. What time frame can we expect some deeper integrations using the model context protocol for development purposes?
Yep, that's a pretty good question. We definitely have it on the roadmap. I have not a concrete date yet. My hunch is probably like in 2 or 3 months or so. The good news is, I mean, what's MCP? In the end, it's some kind of standard USB protocol for AI. And obviously the low-hanging fruits are definitely our registry, especially in development. So you just get all those errors that are basically produced and so on. That thing is already available via API. It's just about basically putting that in our stack. Then we also have already all those other APIs for content delivery and so on. In the end, it will be just about taking all those services and just combining them in this MCP setup. So if there's a certain service that you need already right now, in theory, you could even just wipe or better implement implement it for a first version that you maybe need right now urgently.
Okay, I think we had another question back here, I saw.
We've also been trying to develop dialogues and content types with AI for Magnolia, and we've had lots of problems where it confused versions, especially with the content types. Is that also something you could solve? Examples or?
Yes, big time. This was when I really just spoke about context, because at the beginning I had the absolute same experience. Oh my God, it looks good. Oh my God, it's garbage. It doesn't work whatsoever. And this is why you really need this, for example, cursor file, Windsurf file, whatever it is. You really have to specify this is actually the version. And what was for me really pivotal was, hey, here are two really complex examples that I have in my project. And then basically what I have in this memory is just, hey, if you're going to write a dialogue, look at this guy here, or just read the documentation. And then you really come down from garbage doesn't work. It just takes more time than I would just use normally to most of the time one-shotting those configurations. It's really a game changer. So again, it's about context. You have to really bring samples in your context file, and then you just get completely different results.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Jan?
First of all, great presentation. But I wanted to ask about the AI advisory board. Do you have a little more information you can share?
Yep, exactly. That's also something that we are going to start pretty soon, simply because obviously we have a lot of ideas. We see a certain part of the market, but obviously all of you see different things. And for that, we are absolutely, we just really rely also on your feedback. What kind of cases do you see? And therefore, we're really going to start this advisory board where we're just going to basically discuss with you, okay, those are the actual challenges that we are facing. Is there something on the roadmap? How can that be solved? And so on. So we can just basically come in a more collaborative flow, so we can just exchange and build faster, more targeted to those different requirements. Because for me, I mean, obviously I spoke a lot about AI, and some colleagues might agree with that quite a bit. With each and every single client that I speak, there's always this new crazy thing that I completely didn't saw coming. Translations, I mean, sure, translations, hey, but we need our content in very easy, understandable language for legal reasons. Well, perfect AI task, for example, and I didn't saw that coming. Stuff like this happens just constantly, and for that we're just really heading for this advisory board, so we can really also get, for those involved in AI use cases, the feedback, and we can then just build faster, more targeted.
Thank you.
Cool. We can probably take about 2 more questions. I think there was a few more. Here, use the mic, please.
So when we talk about translations, each company or each brand has its own words, its own language. Is this considered?
Exactly. So if you want to mess up the project, you're just going to take, for example, DeepL as is, mission accomplished, we have AI, let's go. And then you're going to have something like it happened to us. Certain things are translated that should not be translated, or they are translated in the completely wrong way. For a famous example, Magnolia is an excellent headless CMS in Germany that goes, Magnolia ist ein ganz tolles kopflos CMS. Let's go. Exactly, and for this you need actually those translation dictionaries. In those translation dictionaries you have to absolutely capture all those specialities, and don't underestimate it. That's quite a bit of work to get this right. But once you have this, you can really reap the benefits. That will make you a lot more efficient. But you really need those translation dictionaries. Without that, it will be just awful.
Thank you.
All right, one more. Any more questions?
So I have a question about the development time. When you use AI, for example, Windsurf, for a normal project development, do you think you will actually save time? Because I mean, in the end, I have used Cursor as well, but you still need to revalidate everything you did, and I experience a lot of garbage, of course, as well. But then I'm asking myself, would it have been faster if I would just have write the code by myself in the beginning, or just use the AI answer as a template to get ideas how I could structure it?
It depends. I mean, for example, one thing where AI usage is definitely not helping so much is if you just have gigantonormous code bases. And if you want to refactor there, from my experience at least, that's kind of difficult. But if you just work on standard tasks, like let's say a migration, your dialogues and all those things, I would say absolutely there's a lot of potential to save quite a bit of time. It's really hard, but important. You really have to avoid this one trap with just do some kind of magic and then it does a lot of things and you just think, whoa, that rarely works. So it's really about using it pretty functional. You still need definitely this architectural knowledge about what should be done where. And if you do it, so then it's really like some kind of pretty good junior developer that can just make those simple tasks much, much faster. But you really have to control it, you really have to break down tasks, and you really have to advise, no, you're going to work on this, on this, on this, on this. There's no magic bullet. But if you do this, definitely there's a lot of room to be much quicker compared to do everything manual.
All right, so yeah, if you're interested in the topic, then of course tomorrow we've got the workshop, and of course Jan and other Magnolia developers will be around throughout the days. Thanks so much, Jan. Big round of applause. All right.